Final hour overdrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Bryan Hayes, Andi Petrillo, Jonas, Siegel. We're just talking about Tommy DeVito, the Giants QB, who it's become public knowledge that he was invited to some restaurant in Jersey.
Concilio?
I don't think there's an S in there.
How do you spell it?
Caniglios.
Oh, Canilio.
Okay.
Nope.
Easy.
No. Little lesson.
I think I'm a little bit closer than you personally, Andi, but
a little lesson. When there's like a GLI in Italian, the G is silent. It's lio.
Okay.
Not glio.
Canilios.
Perfect.
All right, Canilios. So the Canilios in Jersey, they're going to pay him $10,000 to show up.
Yeah.
As like a come on down and meet Tommy DeVito, probably sign some autographs, take some pictures, whatever. Like, people do this all the time. A lot of athletes do.
He's from
this.
there, right?
I believe he's from Jersey, and this is a big story. He's the Giants quarterback. It's amazing. Everyone's behind it. And then I guess his agent, after a couple of good games, went back to them and said, actually it's $20,000 now. And they went public saying, we're not paying that. We don't have it. There was an agreement. So this became a big public story to the point now where I guess DeVito finally realized, and I think this is a smart play, for a PR standpoint, you got to show up. But he's doing it for free, apparently, which means his agent cost him $10,000.
Oh.
Like, this is the kind of thing where don't you call up your agent and say, you just jammed me so badly. Yeah. And I know he was doing it. The agent's job is to strike while the iron's hot, get as much money as you can. Like, that's what the job is.
But come on.
But you have to be realistic. This is not
all business.
This is not a box store, exactly. Yes. This is not some massive chain that has an extra $10,000. This is a mums and pops shop that was willing to give him 10.
And this is where, like, being as old as I am, Jonas, and has been around as long as I have, eons and eons, like the amount of interactions I've also had with certain players where you're like, wow, that was a jerk move, or that was this, or that was that. And you find out the player never knew, or the athlete never knew a lot of the things going on because it was the agent acting independently. Yes, they try to act in the best interest, or you think. Sometimes, they take a percentage. So, but it's like, wow. So that's why a lot of times I'll give athletes the benefit of the doubt, like in a story like this, because I do wonder if his agent even consulted him when he went back to that pizza joint to say it's now 20 compared. Like, Tommy probably never even knew he did that.
Well, now he's there, and he's there for free. Yeah. And now it's like, do you get to leave when you want to leave, or is someone grabbing your arm? And being
his agent looks like a character.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, he lives at the corner of Guides and Bra. I'm telling you, this guy.
The suit, the hats.
Hey, Kumba.
He's in the Italian Sports Hall of Fame down there.
He is. He wore the jacket.
You got to give him credit for that.
Had the cornuto on and everything.
All right, there you go. Okay. Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. Leafs Rangers tonight on TSN Radio. Let's head down to the rink, catch up with two of our favorites here, Jimmy Ralph and Joe Bowen. Bonesy, Ralphie, how we doing?
Good, thank you. Hello, Andrea.
Hello, Bonze.
How are you, dear?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
I miss you.
Good. Yeah, I miss you too. Is Danny DeVito going to the restaurant, or is the other DeVito going?
It's Tommy, but hey, I'll go if Danny's there.
No, Danny's better.
Danny's worth $20,000. Danny should get $20,000.
Yes, he should.
Absolutely.
I would say so. All right. Well, Jonas is here too. Can you say hi to him, Bonesy, or what?
We don't talk.
You don't
talk.
Want to
say hello to?
What about Ralphie?
Jonas, Ralphie?
I'll be honest. I've been watching TV.
What are you doing down there, Ralphie? Taking notes on.
Watching you guys on TV.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I keep waving, but I don't see me yet.
Yeah, you're coming up. It's just a matter of time. We need some stock photos of these two. So what do we think of the game tonight? I mean, we've been buzzing about Martin Jones getting the start. What do you guys make of that?
Me personally, I think you're afraid this is going to be a turnaround game. Leafs embarrassed the Rangers at Madison Square Garden. Igor Shesterkin had 3 tough starts in a row. Looks like he got it back in their overtime win against the Boston Bruins. The Leafs always tend to, when they start soaring on these highs and swelling, usually the bounce back to earth is not subtle. It's rather obvious. So I think you got to guard against maybe having a little too much swagger because the Rangers look like they're back on track now.
Me, on the other hand, think they're just going to wade in here and just wail the tar out of them. Now that Knuckles Nyes is now running roughshod through the league, I think that you're on a great roll, and you've got a lot of guys who are have got point streaks going. not the least of which are Timmins and McCabe, who are on point streaks. So I mean, and the goals are being spread around, and you know, and Ralphie's right. I mean, you can't keep this kind of pace up, but there is no reason that they can't, you know, run off and have a real good run here through the Christmas break.
Well, 12 goals in their last 3 periods. That's pretty good stuff, Bonesy. And I was talking about your call, both of you coming down the stretch in that Columbus game, where the buildup was pretty incredible. And then on Saturday night, it was like right off the puck drop. It just exploded, and they never slowed down. What was the energy like calling, you know, both those games? The last 4 periods at home, you know, it's Christmas time, holiday season. There seems to be some buzz in the rink. How fun has it been the last couple of games?
I'll be honest, from my standpoint, AC, I left after the second period of the Columbus game. I heard it on the radio on the way home. I
it was a good call.
You did?
Yeah.
I didn't even notice you were gone.
I missed 2004 as well.
Oh, really? Oh, I
Ralphie, where's your mic? Is it on the floor? We can't hear you.
We're working on it.
Oh, okay. All
right, you answer that then, Bonesy.
Well, you know what? It was fun, and I want to tell a bit of a story. We lost a dear friend of ours who played for the Windsor Spitfires for 4 years. His name is Paul Gillinardo, just 39 years of age this weekend, and went to the viewing and whatnot. And his dad, Mario, and I are dear friends, and we coached our kids. Paul's the same age as Derek. And you know what, you try to bring some levity to a really horrible situation. And Paul is also best friends with Steven Stamkos. And I said to Mario, Mario, I've already got a beef with your son up there. He obviously didn't start watching the Leaf game until the end of the second period against Columbus. But then he switched over to watch Stammer score 4 goals for the very first time in his career and didn't hang in for the overtime. So we've got to get that all kind of straightened out. And it did bring a laugh to him and whatnot, which was great. But you know what? It was. I mean, you see this every once in a while, and unfortunately, I don't remember the big comebacks by the Leafs as much as I remember the collapses that the Leafs have had. St. Louis here one night. We were up 6-2 in Detroit and lost that game. I remember those probably more than I do the big comebacks.
Jim, can I ask you a question?
Only if it's nothing to do with math.
So you used to play goal, right?
Correct.
Pretended.
Do you have another question? Do you want to?
That was
hard-hitting.
Next question.
That wasn't the question.
They don't call you the best for nothing, Jonas.
So, as a former goalie, allegedly, what do you make of Ilya Samsonov's struggles, and where do you think they go with this? Do you think there is still a path to him turning this around, or do you think... I don't know.
The path, actually, the path might be out of necessity because obviously Joseph Woll is still going to be out for a while now. Ilya Samsonov is going to get some more opportunities, and you feel for him. I think when you see somebody go through it, and very seldom is anyone that ever played the position not. It's a lonely feeling because on one side, you know, you're not playing, and you want the team to do well, yet the other guy going in is doing a better job than you are. So it's a pretty conflicting time. I think what works against Ilya Samsonov, though, Jonas, is the fact that you're on a 1-year deal. And, you know, this was your time to maybe show something. I think that's why, you know, Freddie Anderson always got that label, Freddie's our guy, because he had 3 or 4 years left in his contract. You know, Matt Murray, I think, got more opportunities because he had a longer deal. So, unfortunately for Samsonov, from a Leaf standpoint, it's not like they're looking, saying, look, we got him for 4 more years. We got to get him going. He's got to be our guy because of the commitment we made to him. But it's as far as what's going through his head, I've always compared it to standing in the batter's box in baseball. When you're on, you pick up the ball out of the pitcher's hand. You see the spin. The ball gets bigger as it gets towards the plate. And if you're struggling, you just notice the left fielder took 2 steps in. And you're going, I better not hit it there. And all of a sudden, you're not focused on what the ball is, and the whole rink becomes wider because you start going through a million possibilities in your head, and you kind of forget to be tracking what you're supposed to be in the first place.
Guys, I mean, both of you can answer this, whoever wants to go first. But I think the Christmas freeze or the holiday freeze, whatever they call it, but that kicks in like midnight tonight. So it kicks in tonight. No movement. Merry Christmas. But when you look ahead even to trade deadline, what are maybe some of the things already that you're seeing with this team that can be added? Make it better, look ahead to the playoffs.
Well, one of the things, Andrea, I think that you have to look at is the fact that they have gone through an awful lot of the depth in their defense core, whether it's from here or from the Marlies, and are among the league's best teams in the standings. And everybody clamors that they've got to do something on the defense. They've got to do that, and that's great. And I'm sure that that is job one. I'm sure that that's what Brad Treliving is thinking about. But the way that people like Timmins and Lagesson and Benoit have played with all of these injuries, it isn't job one that has to be done right now. And I don't think that the depth in this organization on defense and the way that these guys have played gets enough credit. We're not talking about, oh my God, Benoit's just been horrible. Well, no, because you don't notice him. He's not scoring points. Okay, that's fine. But he's not being just atrocious, or any of them being atrocious in their own end. They struggle. They have times, but every defense corps does. But I think that that's one thing that I think that you have to kind of throw a bouquet at. And I think Brad Treliving is sitting there going, good. I don't need to overpay. I don't need to do this in a hurry. I don't need to be held to ransom. I can maybe pick and choose where I want to go and what I want to give when the time comes. And trust me, there is a long line of general managers thinking the exact same way that Brad Treliving is thinking right about now.
With Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph, Leafs Rangers tonight right here on TSN Radio. And Bonesy, you call them Knuckles Knives, which I like. I'm sure Chris Nyland will love that as well. But
too bad he doesn't hold the copyright.
Exactly. You can take it.
No.
And I loved what I saw, like a Gordie Howe hat trick. I did not have that on the bingo card this year for Knives. And he had it, like halfway through the second period. He had established it on Saturday night. But he's fought recently. Giordano fought recently. Domi fought recently. What do you guys make of it? Ralphie, you can start in terms of team toughness, tray living, snot, all that kind of stuff he was trying to bring to the lineup. Are you sensing that there's more of it this year than maybe years past?
I would say no, Hazy. I mean, I just think the fighting part of the game is overrated right now. The Lindgren for the Rangers, I think, has been hit 3 times in the last 5 games. He looks like the Scott Sterling of the NHL right now. Every highlight you see, it's like, oh no, they're Lindgren got drilled again. I know Pasha and I picked up a major against them, but it's I think there's the team toughness or the resiliency is more how you respond to things other than just dropping the gloves. Because once it happens, I'm a little more old school where I think if it's a clean hit, you leave it alone. You get up and get your ass back to the bench and move on to the next play. So I think I would say, though, that the fourth line, when we've seen it with, especially with Camp McMahon and Noah Gregor, is a tougher fourth line to play against. They've created some offense in the last couple of weeks. And to me, that's a different kind of toughness. It's not drop the gloves toughness, but it's a different kind of a way that you can beat the opposition through depth and through getting pucks deep and playing the body and get traffic in front and all the other cliches.
But the other thing is that since the episode with Liljegren in Boston, there has definitely been a change in, okay, if something is getting pushed around or whatever, it's me and my gang. And there's no punches thrown, but there's scrums and everything else. And then when you do look at the statistics and you can, do the old figures don't lie, but liars can figure, the Leafs are among the leaders in hits. Okay, not crushing body checks, but they're among the leaders in hits.
Yeah, Hazy.
Yeah.
So, whether it's a whole new crew of off-ice officials who have different ideas of what a hit is or not, but, it's the old adage, figures don't lie, but liars can figure, and there they are.
I'm with you. I made that point earlier. Jonas disputed that. He was not.
The head coach also disputes. Well, doesn't.
Yeah, you know what I would say too, Hazy, and Andrea and Jonas. when other teams start talking about what you got to do to get back at the Leafs, that's when I'll consider them to be tougher.
Right.
Instead of what we're going to do to Marchand or what the Leafs are going to do to this hit against them. It's let's go back to the Tucker, Corson, and Domi era, where the Ottawa Senators were the ones saying we got to get back at these guys, and that's not fair what they're doing. So to me, it's not about, let's not always talk about what the response is. We had a good response. Be the ones that everyone else is sour at.
That's a great point. Yeah, be proactive with it. That's exactly it. Because
you don't have to sit back and say we're ready. We're going to do something. If you do that,
watch
we're
out.
coming.
Right.
Watch out.
I remember the Flyers, like back, a long time ago when you had like Mike Richards, Joffrey Lupul, Scotty Upshaw. These are not big dudes, but they were just nasty. They were absolutely nasty to play against. Now, mind you, you played in Philly. You got to adopt that kind of
that used to be the case
attitude.
here, though, right? Like Toronto had that. Like Ralphie, you just mentioned Corson, Tucker, and the boys. That was 20 years ago, but not that long. Like not that far back in the past.
Okay, these are the guys that you're talking about. Your Statler, by the way, and
You're Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah, we're being Jonas is an ageist, Bonesy, Ralphie. I don't know if you heard that.
he's just throwing out ages today, saying we're too old. Jack Martin, 71, too old. Aaron Rodgers, 40, too old.
Yeah,
we're all
I'm
old.
72, Jonas, and you want to meet out in the backyard, out behind the in the alley. You just bring it on, young man.
Yeah, I'll make sure he's there too, Jonas.
Ralphie will rent the barn himself.
I'll swing by the home, grab him.
Attaboy. All right, Leafs Rangers tonight, boys. It'll be a fun one. Enjoy it. Thank you for doing this.
Later.
See you guys.
Goodbye.
Those are the two dudes in the booth.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally up on top, peering down on people. Joe Bowen and Jim Ralph.
One more time, call me Andrea. One more time.
That, like Ralphie said it in such a nonchalant, just smooth. Like Bonesy was laying it on, but Ralphie was like addressing you by your birth name.
When you reach a certain age, it's the
Yeah.
respect. So
That's
for
right.
those, my real name is Andrea.
There you go, Andrea Petrillo.
But
It's a beautiful name.
Andrea Lynn.
Andrea Lynn Petrillo.
Go ahead. If you've watched the movie Ted, yes, I understand the joke. Okay.
Wow.
And all the stripper names
Yeah.
have Lynn in there somehow.
Lynn is in there a lot.
I'm Andy Lynn, baby.
Andy Lynn. I like it. All right. Andy Lynn. I did not know that.
Yeah. So Andrea.
Who gets to call you Andrea?
Clearly, Bonesy, Ralphie,
that's-
they've known me forever. You know what? I've always been Andy with my family. In fact, when I started to use it on air, my family kind of felt a little hurt because they thought that was their nickname for me.
I see.
So now Andrea is reserved for when I'm in trouble and when I'm, being yelled at.
Which shouldn't happen
Andrea.
too often anymore, but every once in a while.
Italian parents
Yeah.
get yelled at a lot.
Okay. Oh, good.
You and Tommy DeVito.
Exactly.
Tommy's the man of the people now down in Jersey.
I did
right?
it for free. Do it for free.
Do it for free. Attaboy Tommy. All right, confirm and deny after dark coming up. Our best bets brought to you by FanDuel, still to come later in the hour. Andrea Petrillo's in here. Jonas Siegel's in here. I'm Bryan Hayes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, TSN 1050's Leafs lineup. Your chance to win Leaf tickets every week, all season long. Every weekday, we announce a current or former Maple Leaf player. And on Fridays, you have a chance to call in and name the Leaf lineup of the week. Name all of the players in the lineup. You score a pair of tickets to an upcoming Leaf game. This week, we're giving away tickets to see the Leafs take on the Ottawa Senators December 27th. Jacques Martin making his return to Scotiabank Arena. It's wild that Jacques Martin is back behind the bench for Ottawa. And we're also throwing in a $250 Vanilla Visa prepaid card with each pair of tickets to make it the ultimate game night. Vanilla Visa prepaid cards are available for purchase at Petro Canada. Today's player of the day is Damian Rhodes. Damian Rhodes is your player of the day. He was a goalie, for those wondering.
I'm trying to look up Jacques Martin. When he started coaching,
Mm-hmm.
would he have been around so long now that he would have coached when they were in the Gardens then ACC.
I think so.
And now Scotiabank.
Like, I'm pretty sure he was their coach.
Andy, I don't know if you know, but that's the same building.
No, I know it's the same building, but name change.
Well, not the Gardens. It's not.
The Gardens
No, I
is
mean,
different.
ACC.
But I'm just saying he's been through 2 arenas and name changes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm just saying.
Like, I think he got there in the late 90s. I don't remember
pull
his
that up.
timeline in Ottawa, but
Ottawa, 1995.
he got there in 95.
Dude, that's what it say. 95.
Wow.
And the last year was 99, right?
No, he was there into the he was
No,
there
I
when,
mean
at the Gardens.
Yeah.
Yes, February of 99. Yeah. So he would have had some heartbreak at the Gardens, although Battle of Ontario was not established
Early
probably until
2000s.
99. That
Yeah.
first year they were at Scotiabank, that was probably the Steve Thomas
Yeah.
OT winners and Jacques Martin.
It's a long time.
And like again, he had a good run here in Ottawa, but they didn't win anything with Jacques Martin. I don't believe he was the coach in 07 when they went to the Cup final.
I don't think so, no.
You got that, don't you, Andy? Look that up. But
Maybe he was.
So the information super
Who
highway
would it have
over
been if it
here.
was- Oh, no, it was Brian Murray.
Oh,
Wasn't it?
Paul. What's his name?
no,
it
it
was
wasn't
Brian.
No,
I'm pretty sure
the
it was Brian
mustache?
Murray. Almost certain.
I can't.
He
remember.
left in 03-04.
Okay, so yeah, his last year was before the lockout, and I think his last time coaching was Joe Nieuwendyk scoring those 2 Game 7 goals.
Oh, Brian.
That was in 04. That was okay. Anyway,
It was Brian
it
Murray.
was Brian Murray was behind a bench.
The old
Okay.
Gardens, though, will be seeing games this year, gentlemen.
Yes, the PWHL. Is that
Yeah.
what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
What can you tell us, Andy?
Anatomy Center, pretty excited. Kicks off January 1st. That's going to be, I love it. Like, it's a hockey bonanza, right? Because that's your Winter Classic for the NHL. It's going to start off, I think, 12:30 will be puck drop for the first ever PWHL game between Toronto and New York at Mattamy. And that's going to be
awesome.
their home.
It's such a great rink.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really cool spot, what they've done, like the preserving of the roof. And, like, it's not the Gardens. It's been updated. It had to
Sure.
be updated, clearly. But it's a really cool part of town. There's history in there. It's nostalgic. You get enough seats where if you sell it out, there'll be a buzz in there.
I think, so this is the
And
thing.
they've done great on that.
Everything has sold out. When they
Yeah.
put the season tickets up for Toronto, sold out. When they put the single game tickets up, sold out for all their, so there's 12 home games. Because I think for the first year, they're going to play 24 games. So between, I think it's like 2,500 seats and then whatever standing room. So they're close to about 3,000
That's great.
of capacity. And they've hit it. So they're sold out. And I believe the very next day, Ottawa plays. And where they're playing out of, I think it's like 7,500 seats, which they either close to or at selling out, which means it would be the largest crowd for a women's professional league on North American soil. So, I mean, people are buying tickets.
That's
People
great.
want this.
That's what
So,
they need. Like, you need to get started. I think you start small, and then the hope is that it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And at some point, you're in capacities of 5,000, then 10, then maybe you get to Scotiabank and you sell that out. I would anticipate that'll be the case in the future. Like, maybe not every single game, but can you set, like, I think it's imperative what they do, the PWHL, is you establish traditions as quickly as you can. Like, try to find something in the schedule that's available that, maybe it's during the NHL All-Star weekend where it's like, all right, that's when we're going to go to Scotiabank. This year won't happen, obviously, because the All-Star game is here.
But they're also going to be in so that's part
Right,
of the
they're involved in
connection.
that.
Yeah, the
Right.
players will be at NHL All-Star.
But
too.
like, at some point, that's one example. What I'm
Sure.
saying is, like, if you can get to a point where you play every Boxing Day at Scotiabank, like early on, and in Boston and in New York or whatever, and it's like that's something you can amplify. You sell it out. You get people there. You make it a big TV production. And then all of a sudden, you're on the radar of people that maybe aren't even thinking of tracking you.
Yeah.
Because what this is saying, them selling tickets this quickly, the PWHL, is there are hardcore fans immediately that want to be involved.
Yeah.
And then it's got to be a business. Like, it's got to expand beyond that. You got to make money. You got to keep people. So you get people in the door. You got to keep people in the door. But I think once they drop the puck, it's going to be competitive.
Oh my
and
goodness.
ultimately, that's what matters. Like, it's going to have stability. It's a real league. It's the best players in the world.
Yeah.
And there's going to be atmosphere in the ring.
If the preseason is any indication, it was held out in Utica. I mean, they were like already beating the snot out of each other. And preseason, as we know, typically is just kind of getting your legs under you, warming up. They were so jacked up that it almost felt like regular season already. And you know what? Like, they're also the first ever women's league to have a CBA signed before they even get going. Like, there's a lot of things they're doing right. And the first year, it's going to take some time. I know there's been a lot of talk of merchandise and everything, but things that we even learned was that, and this is how quickly it all happened, right? The announcement came in June that this was happening. The draft was September 18th. If they wanted to have certain colors, logos, certain jerseys, whatever it was, they would have had to have gotten all that stuff into the manufacturers in July. It just wasn't feasible. And I know as a fan, sometimes you don't want to hear that because you want everything to be perfect right out of the gate, but it just wouldn't have met their tight timeline to drop the puck Jan 1, 2024. But that'll change, and I'm sure next year they'll talk to the fans. They might get fan engagement, logo, names, and it'll all be different for the following year. They'll get stuff into because not only does it take a while to get stuff from manufacturers, the backup from the pandemic is still real. Like talking to Diana Matheson, who's even trying to get the women's domestic soccer league, even like a certain shade of purple. It's like, sorry, that's not going to be available for another 2 years. So you got to change your idea. It's things like that that's so backed up that we as the regular fan, why would we know this? Why would we care? But when you're working behind the scenes to get a league going, you're like, holy geez, I never realized that was going to be an issue.
Well, and that speaks to what you're dealing with here. Like, it's a business, right? It's not a fantasy. It's not about fulfilling dreams. It's about making money. It's about making sure that it's got longevity behind it. And I think it's imperative for any new league, regardless of sport, men, women, whatever, you've got to be cutting edge. Like, you've got to feel like you're ahead of the game. And I think merchandising is one way you can do that. Everything you just said, I was not aware of all that.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. But at some point, whenever it is available to you, you got to get it right.
Got to get it right.
You got to look like you're the cool ones. You're cutting edge. It's new. It's different. Social media, you've got to be ahead of the curve on all that kind of stuff. Like, there's certain things where you can get in there where some of the older leagues and more established leagues, they don't feel they have to because they take it for granted. Yeah. Where I think if you're trying to build the product up, if you get the players involved, the teams involved, the TV partners, the media partners involved in whichever way they can, I think that can go a long way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's a part of what they're hoping to do and planning on doing.
Yeah.
And I understand the idea of getting it off the ground and a bit of a soft launch, so to speak.
Which is what it is, because they'll eventually go on the NHL schedule. Like, they eventually want to start in the fall.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, end in the spring and then have a playoffs. Like, they want to get on that hockey calendar.
Imperative.
Yeah.
Like, it's got you have to have that at some point because, the hockey fans are programmed a certain way. That doesn't mean there isn't an avenue for things to be different, but I think you got to have a full season. Clearly, you've got to have trades, you got to have signings, you got to have all that kind of stuff's going to come with the product. And I know that's the anticipation.
You're right,
but
Hayes.
until you get there, at this point, it's just kind of conjecture on how it's all going to look.
Remember with Vegas when they came into the NHL and they had the jerseys? And everyone's like, oh my God.
They're different.
Those are different.
Seattle was different.
Seattle different.
Yeah.
Like,
You got to pop. Like, because you are new. You're the new ones.
Yeah.
Like, there are people that are going to be naturally intrigued by it. And it's a great sport. And I think what is going to separate this from maybe other sports almost immediately is how invested the players are going to be on making this work.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to go a long way. Like, it's long overdue. These women are dying to play, dying to be professional, dying to entertain people. So I anticipate that there will be a lot of support in terms of doing whatever you have to do to grow the game and grow the brand.
Right.
But you can make it easier on yourself if you have stuff that goes viral and stuff that pops and people want, and people will basically promote your product as a walking, talking billboard.
Yeah. Well,
if you get your stuff out there.
And there are going to be hiccups along the way. I know they did like a launch of some sort of merchandise, and I have to admit, some of it doesn't exactly differentiate one team from another. Like, the M for Montreal looks very similar to the M for Minnesota, and it's the same color. And some of the sizing, I think it just reached like XL, and there are others that, but they also sold out of a lot of gear, right? So where there may be, I don't know if it's necessarily making mistakes. It's just you don't know what you don't know. So take that feedback. They're still selling out. Right? So the appetite's there. And I think the first year is going to really be about learning. What are the fans griping about? What are the fans loving? And then that's where you put your investment behind it. But yeah, anyways, it's going to be really exciting. Jan 1, I can't wait.
Yeah,
like I said,
great.
between the tickets selling out, first ever game, Toronto, New York. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it'll be good.
I'll have Tessa with me, Tessa Bonhomme. I'll have Cheryl Pounder with me.
I've heard, yes. There's a lot of excitement around here at
Drop
TSN.
the puck.
Let's get rocking. Right, Jonas?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we lose you?
No,
Did the
I'm
young
listening.
one fall asleep at the table?
Yeah,
What
Jonas,
happened?
here we are,
I would
the
love to
two.
go to a game.
Look at us. We're 3 hours in, and we're just
Oh, you could probably get
speeding up.
credentialed, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but
That's not the same.
I know you got it. You don't want to.
Frankie's
Tommy
going to be
DeVito
there.
is.
Frankie Corrado's
Yeah,
going to be there.
I've told you, I got my girls that are dying to go. Like my girls
There's
are like,
a fan base for sure.
yeah,
I mean, clearly.
Well, they built it up because you have to remember it's been 4 years since the CWHL folded, and they started the PWHPA, which, by the way, I found out Billie Jean King, they called her almost immediately in 2019. And the first thing she said to them was unionize, get together, stick together, because when people start to branch out, then you got problems. But if you stick together and create the united front, then you can go places. And they did. The PWHPAs, you know, like they started playing out of NHL venues. There was all these exhibition games. They started to get a fan base, started to get a crowd. And here we go. And I mean, I don't want to ignore what happened to the Premier Hockey Federation. Obviously, that was pretty devastating. Contracts were canceled. And it was heartbreaking. And unfortunately, there's going to be collateral damage in the beginning for what will hopefully be something incredible long term.
yeah, that's got to be the plan here, right? It's not about the next year, 5 years. You got to hope you look back on this 100 years from now and say they played
Exactly.
the first game here and everything worked out and it's stable and everyone's making a living and everyone's making money and everyone's happy. I mean, that's ultimately what you're trying to achieve here. Yeah, PWHL right around the corner. Good stuff, Andy. I feel like you're our insider. I'm like, take me through the manufacturing. What about that shade of purple?
Dude,
Is that available?
the things I'm learning, I'm like, I talk into a camera when that red light goes on. But
No,
when
don't sell
you're
yourself
covering
short.
new leagues, you learn these things.
You're
You're
working.
like, Andy Lynn is hustling.
Andy Lynn. I love that handle. Andy Lynn.
That's it, it's Andy Lynn.
Yeah, it's great. Andy Lynn Petrillo. All right, our best bets coming up. Confirm and deny after dark. Leafs in action tonight. We'll continue to tee that up. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2. All right, we were talking about modern music earlier. I will say Dua Lipa's got some
I was
bangers,
asked, do
man.
you know who this is?
I know
was
Dua
like,
Lipa very well. She is
Oh, yeah?
phenomenal. She's got some great tracks.
She's good.
You're a fan?
Oh, I like her.
That sounded
That's a
kind
cool
of yeah.
tepid-
Like what? You're not? Do you have a run-in with her or something?
No, I just said she's. You know what? I stick to my Euros. I'm an old school
But
Euros.
she's literally European.
No, but what I mean, like my Euro beats.
I see.
Not my Euro people. My Euro beats.
Oh, okay.
So I love that, and I love my old Latin. Like I love the classic Latin.
Like
I'm not
Mark
saying
Anthony kind of thing,
I
or
love Mark, and I'm not gonna. I don't say I don't like Bad Bunny. I think he's fine,
He's
but I'm
fine.
still gonna choose like my classic Latinos.
All right.
guys.
Dua Lipa, though, I'm a fan.
Finally,
Just getting that
something
out there.
Something in the last
Yeah.
5 years that you guys actually like.
I'm on it, man. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. John Tavares, anytime goal scorer tonight. It's more based on nostalgia, but he's getting his 1,000th point ceremony. His wife, his kids are going to be on the ice. It just feels like a moment where John scores. Is paying big plus money tonight. Matthews comes back and continues to fire a ton of shots on net. 4+ shots for Matthews. 2+ shots for Adam Fox. Parlay that. Big plus money. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. FanDuel's goal in the first 10 minutes is the most electric bet in hockey and can be included in any same-game parlay on any NHL game. Please play responsibly. Must be 18+. Physically located in Ontario.
We have an update on the gift.
Yeah, I actually have more stuff that I didn't even tell you guys.
Oh,
Some great
geez.
gold.
Okay.
Actually, it's not that.
This is about Tavares tonight.
Yeah,
and the ceremony.
because O said he should get a boat, and like,
Yeah, because
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Dave Babbage got a boat, so now everyone
Yeah,
gets one.
so the most, this is from the CBA, you can spend on a gift like that is $25,000 US.
Mm-hmm.
Now, forwards, you can only do ceremonies, I think, for the following accomplishments. For a forward, 1,000 games, 400 goals, 600 assists, or 1,000 points, and nothing else.
Isn't
And
that
then-
wild? So,
Yeah.
just in other words, if Alex Ovechkin passes Wayne Gretzky.
No, actually, you can do that too.
Oh, okay.
In all, you can do it for special, what does it say here? There are special accomplishments.
Okay, so you're honoring for everything because what else do you need to like honor a guy for?
Well, and why start like
Why
500 goals is
Why
it
not
worth?
500?
Yeah, 700 assists.
Yes, 700 goals.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, we gotta have limits here.
It's weird that they're like, okay, 1,000 points. So what can we do? Well, we can't do 500. We'll do 400, 600.
It's very arbitrary.
Yeah, like who made up that stuff?
But 25,000. You could, so basic, whatever. What is that in Canadian? 30,000? 33?
Yeah, so you can't get
a little more than that, but
you could get a good watch for that. But
You can make that's a lot of money.
For sure.
That's a lot of money, but it is another kind of thing. Like, why stop there?
Yeah,
I get it. It's about caps or convention, but what are they going to? You got to hit 1,000 points.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
He's the
like,
98th guy to do it.
we're only going to pay you this much money, but when you hit 1,000 points, we're going to really
maybe
make
they
it
should
worth
have
your
like
while.
little stipulations. If you hit 1,000, you get like a boat, or if you hit like 1,500.
I don't know what boats cost. Can you get that for 30 grand, or is that a canoe?
You cannot.
No, I don't think
Way
so.
more.
You get a canoe.
But then maybe if you get 400 goals, you know what? We'll give you a car.
Yeah.
Not a great car, just a decent car.
What do you get someone who has everything who also makes that salary?
Wow,
that's what
that's
I
the
mean.
thing.
It's got to be
Well, it's got to be
memorable.
sentimental. That's exactly it.
Like
And
a bathroom renovation.
that would be
Goes
very
a long
much.
way.
That he'll
I'm
never
on the
forget that.
I'm on the renovation bandwagon.
And I get one for 30 grand in Toronto. I can tell you that.
Maybe you get a plaque somewhere, like in a garden in a city park.
Maybe
That's a
street.
great idea, actually.
Right?
Maybe
street?
maybe Dundas becomes Tavares.
That's
Hey.
pretty good.
Maybe there you go, Olivia Chow.
He has Portuguese roots too.
Yeah.
Right?
All right.
I used to work in
Portugal's
Little
there?
Portugal.
Huh?
I know that
Okay.
that area well.
Maybe
Dundas and
an honor.
Ossington. Come
Yeah.
on now.
If
Young
they
and
win a
Tavares
cup
Square.
and he is the captain, that's a good move.
People would not flinch at that. If that was the stipulation, that if they win the cup while he's the captain, we're going to rename the street Tavares, or just Young and Tavares Square.
Yeah, that's
Right? Like just change the name of the square to
pretty
Young
good.
and Tavares Square. Who would not accept that if it was contingent on the Leafs actually winning?
That's good.
Yeah.
I'd sign off on that right now.
I'm like, see, look, if the more
See,
we
this
just
is
brainstorm,
what needs to happen here at City Hall. What are we doing down there?
I don't know.
What
They
is
don't-
happening?
They don't have the right people in place. You need
I
us
guess.
in there.
Maybe for
We'll fix
1,000
it.
points, they should, instead of Nathan Phillips Square, John
John
Tavares.
Tavares Square?
Although, why would we take that
Wait.
away from
This is
Nathan
a-
Phillips?
I was gonna
Who's
say,
Nathan Phillips?
I don't
I don't
really
know,
the
but
history
I'm
of that.
guessing
I
a
know.
former mayor. But I don't like. What did
You
he
just
do?
put us
that-
on the spot. Who's
I don't
Nathan
know.
Phillips? I should know this.
I'm pretty sure.
This-
I'm guessing a former mayor.
Let's find
I don't know that for sure, but I would be surprised if it were not the case.
Call Mama Petrillo. She used to be a tour guide in the city. She'll know.
Yeah.
Where's
Is
my
that
mom?
is
Where's
it
my mom?
mandatory that she knows
My
everything
mother-
about like the former mayors and everything?
You cannot drive through the city without my mom pointing out this building is this and that building
Really?
is that. And because she was a tour guide when she was younger, she was actually a tour guide
That's
in the
amazing.
city.
You guys are right. He was the mayor.
Yeah, former mayor.
Ding 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 ding.
You got to
ding,
know
ding.
that. It's like Paul Anka and Celine Dion. You got to know that about
But
Nathan
like
Phillips.
he was the 53rd mayor. Like what is that?
That means you know what he did? He was the mayor when he announced that that's what it's going to be.
That's it.
What you
That's
do.
the move. You get in there, and then you're like, I'm just, now that I have all the power, I'm going to change things, and I'm going to name it after me. I like that.
I would 100% do that. I'd be that jerk who
Yeah.
just named everything
Would
after
you-
myself.
Would you want a street to be named after you?
A street, sure.
That'd be weird. Like you make a left on Hayes Boulevard.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Be a great street. No bike lanes, nothing.
Those are the stipulations.
Yeah, I'd create the best street. My street it'd be an awesome street.
No speed limit on my street.
No speed limit.
No bike lanes and no lights, nothing.
Yeah, nothing. Just chaos. Basically, full-blown anarchy on Hayes Street.
If you could take a street in Toronto and make it Hayes Boulevard, what would it be? Hayes Boulevard does sound
Hayes
pretty good.
Boulevard's got a little bit of a pop.
Instead of Lakeshore?
Yeah, I don't really like the Lakeshore that much.
It's got to be
It's okay.
Hayes Boulevard, Andy Lynn Lane,
That's
Jonas,
Yeah, it's tough. Mine doesn't have
Jonas
everything.
Avenue.
I don't like. It's tough to replace streets that are so established. Although we are doing that right now in the
Dundas.
city.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. I mean, I guess Young Street would always be the answer, but that's just so obnoxious. Like it's such a core street to take
But
that.
you know what can also is it also offensive when you get a call from the city and they're like, we're going to name a street after you? Because I've seen these in my area as
Yeah,
well on
it's
the
like
west
a
side.
crappy little street.
And it's literally the
Yeah.
length of this desk.
Like
Right.
I'll pass.
It's a laneway. It's a throughway. And they're like,
Yeah.
this is what we're, and you're like, oh,
But you
Thanks.
can't. But at the same time, you can't say no to a street.
I know.
Because it's absurd. It's incredibly. It's arrogant. Like imagine you're like, oh no, thanks, not good enough for me. I'm not going to accept that.
Or we can't talk.
Like, what are you, Tommy DeVito? Like, is he your agent now? You're just going to turn down a street? I don't care if it's a laneway.
I'll
if
take
it's just
it.
like a dead end.
That's fine.
That's fine too.
I'll take a cul-de-sac.
That actually would be fitting.
Give me a cul-de-sac with like 5 homes on it in the middle of nowhere. I want it desperately.
Well, I mean, it
These
seems
are
like
the
they're
ideas.
running out of names for some of these streets. So
Wow, I guess they got to vet every name
they
now.
should do like a little OverDrive corner and just have Hayes Boulevard. What else would it be? O-Dog Lane.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good
Noodles
point.
Drive.
If they're going to name something
I like
after
it.
you, you have to know they're going to do a history and background check.
Sounds as if that's what.
Are you okay with that?
I listen. My whole life is public now. I mean, you get what you get
Because
on
that's
this show.
that's the kind of stuff now where if someone were to get a phone call, we're going to name this road after you, or we're going to name this community center after you. The first thing you got to think is, do I got to go through my tweets?
Right.
Do I have to delete
I
something?
gotta make sure.
Do I
man.
need to apologize to people from the past?
Not good.
Yep.
Not
Gotta be
good.
careful. You got to be careful.
Gotta be careful. Sometimes
But-
you don't want to be honored.
I just don't think you can turn down a street. You just can't.
I'm going to try to see if we can make that happen for you. And
You can
it's
try to
just
get
like-
me a street.
Yeah, just like some street in the middle of nowhere that no one goes on.
Sure.
It's terrible.
I don't know if those
Let's see.
exist in Toronto though.
Oh, maybe not in Toronto. Maybe it's like somewhere.
I'll take anything. I mean, I don't care where it is, and I will be there.
For
You
the
name a
ribbon
street
cutting?
after me in this country, I'll be there.
Yeah, I'm still going with the frame and gold-plated stick
For Jonas or for Jonas Tavares, for John
for
Tavares.
Jonas Tavares tonight.
What if they pull like an athletic, like Oakland A's when Miggy rolled through town and like someone dropped the ball and they just totally forgot?
There's
Like,
no chance.
remember when Miggy was there and he got like a bottle of wine? It was like a $90 bottle of wine. Do you not hear that story?
Just popped by to the LCBO.
Okay, so Miguel Cabrera was doing his route, like finishing his career, illustrious career, first ballot Hall of Famer, great, one of the greats of all time, and went into Oakland, and everyone was giving him gifts everywhere he went. Like, here's a boat.
Yeah.
Here's a bat. Here, whatever it is. Hey, congratulations on an illustrious career. And he got to Oakland, and they gave him a bottle of Camus, like cab, that was like $89.
Well,
And
didn't
like
they-
actually at home plate, like holding the the wine for a ceremonial picture, and everyone's like, "That's a $90 bottle of wine."
Oh no!
It was absurd.
Did they admit that they forgot, or like?
Well, no, they didn't. My theory was immediately, and I hold to this, is that they got around the cage. They were all, PR manager, and they're like, "So, what did we get them?" And everyone was like, "I didn't get them. So, what did you get them?" And then there was like a panic. We're like, "Well, we got to get them something. Go up to the owner's box and find anything." And they found the most expensive bottle of wine they could, and they gave it to him. And I think that's exactly what happened. Because there's no way they were thinking months in advance, this is what we need to get them.
They're
like a bottle of
notoriously
wine.
cheap, though.
Well, I understand.
Didn't
but
they like charge players to have like drinks at the ballpark?
Moneyball, baby.
I haven't heard that. But
Remember, it was in the famous movie based on the book.
Oh, really?
Moneyball. Nice.
Really?
There you go.
Do you think that'll change when they get to Vegas? Like, do you think the Oakland Athletics all of a sudden become this big
Only if they're owned by
spending
someone
team?
else.
Yeah, exactly. If it's the same
He's
owner, why
cheap.
would it be any different?
Yeah.
Vegas, you gotta go big there or go home.
Yeah, I don't know if Vegas, like baseball, will work in Vegas.
Yeah.
I doubted hockey working, admittedly, and it's been a grand slam. Football, but football's like 8 or 9 home games. Like, you got to sell 81 games in the heat in Vegas.
I was there in June for the Nations League, Canada. It was disgusting.
It's
It was
so
right
hot.
around the Stanley Cup. I was there when Vegas won. It was disgusting.
Yeah.
Will it be in an indoor park?
Yes, it has to be.
Has to.
I was
Yeah.
in, what is it, Alliance State? I can't remember the name now.
I think it does.
Wherever I was there, I blocked it out because I think I actually had heat stroke. They had the AC pumping in that stadium, and my makeup was still melting off my face. And then on top of that, at halftime, they thought it would be really good to do a show with like these pyrotechnic fire things going up in the air. I'm like, no.
Right.
No fire anywhere. It is so hot.
Yeah. I mean,
That's tough. That is tough.
the Rangers play outdoors, but generally they don't play day games.
Yeah.
Like, they do everything they can to play. Like, they might play at 3:10 or 4:10, like a little bit later in the day. But
Got to get the
Houston's
misters
indoor,
out.
Yeah.
yeah,
All the misters, all the AC. Isn't that lovely energy that you're going to be pumping into keeping an
Has to happen.
outdoor space cool?
yep. Someone tweeting in saying that there's a Hayes Boulevard in Oakville.
But it's not yours.
I know. It's not exactly. So it doesn't count.
Maybe it's your
No,
dad.
we need to actually have like the ribbon and the cutting. We need to be there for the party.
I need to like open the street.
Yeah. First to drive your car with no bikes on it.
Yeah. I'm okay with bike lanes, but if it were my street, I'd prefer not because I don't personally bike.
You're anti-bike.
Generally, I'm bothered by biking. It bothers me a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's all good.
The safety part of it bothers me.
Yeah.
It's not very safe.
All right, Andy, Jonas, good seeing you guys.
Pleasure.
Like we ended on a high note here. We've established that.
Now we have all the cyclists hating us, by the way.
I didn't
it's not the first time on this show. Jonas, you live downtown. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to mess around with them. All right. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. Radio, TV, podcast, web. We appreciate that. Andi Petrillo, great seeing you.
I'm sorry about the brownies. Forgot them.
Yes. Don't let that happen again, please. Yeah. Jonas, great seeing you.
Thanks, guys.
Jonas Siegel of The Athletic. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m. Andy.
We'll chat then.